good evening. It is 9 o'clock Eastern. We are on Twitch now with the 13th Fleet After Action Report. I am your host, Chris. I am happy to have you back here. Chat room is open, so if you guys got something to say, feel free to say it. Don't have a lot of prelude into today's episode other than to remind you that there is a tournament in Dayton that is coming up this weekend, and I am planning on being there. It looks like I should be streaming, so it's going to be nice to do that. Won't have any commentary on the stream because I also plan to be playing unless something strange happens. I've had a lot going on here recently, so that may not happen. I may end up just having to commentate on the games that I'm watching there. But joining me for tonight's show, we have our friend Garrett, and we are happy to see you back. How's it going?
It's going good, Chris. It's great to be back. I also wanted to mention, so we've got that tournament on the 9th, and then we've got our Kentucky-Louisville tournament at Miso's on the 13th of January. And then now we have another tournament scheduled for the 28th of January. That's a Sunday. That'll be at Chaotic Good, where we play here in Lexington.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna call that the Get Lucky in Kentucky Last Chance Door Championship, because the cutoff is January 31st for a Worlds ticket. So if you want to participate, there's a time. And then other news for local community: we're getting ready to plan a Rebellion in the Rim campaign.
Yeah, I'd been teasing that here for a little while. It looks like we were going to plan on doing that sometime, looks like February, right? Because we want to get through the...
I mean, we might start getting into it in January, because there's actually a lot of planning involved to make it real proper, right? Fleet building, passing out who gets what aces, titles for cards and ships and admirals. And then, what's the other fun thing? And then, so we're going to use in the core RTR rules, and then we're going to add in the ion radio balance adjustment, basically. Because they made a packet that really fixes a lot of the play issues. Because a lot of these times these campaigns can get really one-sided. So
I can actually comment on that, because one of my first Armada experience was actually with the Rebellion in the Rim campaign as it was out of the box, and we got it overloaded pretty quick.
Yeah, I was talking with another guy here, Ruben, and he's also been on the show. It's the game is fine itself, like when you're playing on the mat against the other person, but like all the logistics on the outside is just layers and layers of, you don't know how it's going to affect your ship and like the upgrade cards, but it's like huge ramifications if something's messed up. So we'll have a few veteran players in each team that really will guide everything, and it'll be good. I think we're going to almost have a wait list almost of people who want to participate, which is nuts.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I do plan on, while we probably won't stream those games, we will record them so that we can put them all up later on.
Sure thing. But yeah, so anyways, you wanted to talk about our last battle
Absolutely.
last Thursday.
Yeah, and that is available on YouTube right now. If you want to go check that out, you can see what we're talking about. There is definitely a lot to talk about in that game.
It was really interesting. It was real fun. So essentially, it was your Sloan fleet. You've been flying for a while now. You have an ISD-1 with boarding troopers, and then a raider with Sloan on it with overload pulse, and we'll get to how important that is and everything. And then I generally fly Republic. I use the background here, but I really wanted to use my Venator. I had just recently repainted as Empire, and so I brought a Admiral Body Venator Quasar squad list. So,
which I have Madi on the screen right there, and I mean, man, I thought he just affected the ship that he was on until I posted this up, and I was like, oh wait, no, that's everything.
Fleet wide, yeah. So yeah, and Madi's awesome, right? Because he adds 3 to larges, 2 hull points to mediums, and 1 to smalls. So, which it didn't save me in our battle. Well, let's talk about why that was.
Yeah, there was some luck and some coaching involved there, but
oh yeah. And then I wanted to see how much my Venator could take. Spoiler, it didn't take much to really push it through. But I guess we'll go through the fleet build here.
Yeah, let
So
me
I'll
go
talk
ahead
about
and
my
call
fleet.
that up. I've
You
actually
got it.
got that. Yeah, so let's see here.
So my flagship is the Imperial Venator 2, and there's a couple differences between it and the Republic one. The main thing being it's got a squadron value of 3 instead of 5. And then the other big thing is it's upgrade loadouts. So instead of what's it called, an offensive retrofit, it's got double torpedo retrofit. So you can put like external racks and assault front torpedoes, or expanded launchers and assault concussion missiles. But other than that, it's a really solid little gunship. For 100 points and a large, that's 12 points cheaper than a Kuat. It does have less hull value, but I brought Mahdi to correct for that, right? So instead of having 9 hull, it's got 12 hull. And then to fix it up, though, I put price on it for dice fixing. That was my officer. Ordnance expert, so I could reroll my black dice. Electronic countermeasures, which I didn't realize how much I missed Republic thermal shields until I didn't have them. And then assault propulsive torpedoes, X-Racks, and then I brought H9 turbolasers, which I didn't love as much as I thought I would. I probably should have just brought like
Which one,
XI7s instead.
which one are the H9s again?
So the H9s let you take, if you roll a hit or a crit, you can change it into a scatter, which is really useful when you're trying to like take out a enemy flotilla and you can lock down their scatter.
Yeah.
So that's a brawler. It's a brawler ship, and that's what it was supposed to do. It didn't get to do much brawling. And then my second ship was my Quasar. I brought a Quasar 1, and it was set up to push squadrons. It had boosted comms, expanded hangar bays, flight controllers, right? So I can push one more squad, I can activate them at lung, and I can add a blue dice to my squadrons when they're fighting anti-squads. And then I brought Admiral Chiranu, who is a really, really cool officer. He's 10 points, but he's worth every penny, because every squadron that you activate, it doesn't matter if they are engaged, they can move as if they were going speed 2. So you could take a bomber out of a situation where it's locked down and send it to go collect points, which I definitely did. And then
that's another
backup,
thing we'll be touching on.
Yeah. And as backup, I had a Gazanti. It had boosted comms on it and a bomber command center. So it was also set up to push squadrons and get rerolls on my bombers. And I was pretty good. I wish I would have had like CommsNet or something, but to fit all these squadrons I brought, I couldn't. I've got a really heavy squadron list here. So top of the list here, we got Suter Fell, and he's the TIE interceptor that if you don't attack him while you're engaged with him, you suffer a damage. And then I've got Major Reimer. You don't see him a lot anymore, but he's a TIE bomber ace, and he's the original TIE bomber ace. And what he did was, if you were at distance 1 of him, like a friendly squadron, you can throw your anti-ship dice at close range at a ship instead of distance 1, which is, a long ways when you're used to just throwing distance 1 dice. And then I brought Tel Travera, who is the jump master ace. He's really cool because when he has a green defense token, he has escort, and he pairs really well with Suter because you have to attack Tel and then take a damage from Suter because you didn't attack him. And then we have Saber Squadron, and he's cool because he's got Snipe 4, and he's just a cheap, extra cool TIE interceptor. And then I have Tempest Squadron, which I think was like what do we call it? My MVP of my squad list. It took Chris forever to kill him. He was a bomber and escort, so he was throwing dice at ships, killing squadrons, and then also tying up all of Chris's shots for like 3 rounds, which was really cool. And then Boba Fett, another really expensive ace nobody brings, but I love him because it's Boba. He's 26 points, which is outrageous for his abilities. He is rogue, and he's got the ability when he activates, he drops a sonic boom, and you can damage either a squadron at distance 1 or a ship. But I did get used to him. I think I killed 2 of your aces with him.
Oh yeah. He was, and I mean, anytime he is expensive, but anytime you get to deal damage without having to throw dice is a good thing.
Yeah, and he's a double dice bomber, blue black. And he got that in. Then I brought another TIE bomber squadron. This was Gamma Squadron, which I think was from the Corellian Conflict box. And it's a bomber that's not heavy, but he's bomber and grit. And then I brought one Lambda, which came in way more useful than I thought because it has Relay 2. And so I was using that Lambda to activate squadrons that were even further than long range away from my Quasar and my Gazanchi. So that Lambda was super useful. So that was the squadron ball. And then and this was important. So I had three objectives. And I did go second. Yeah, because you went first.
No, you went
No,
first. You took my superior positions.
Got it. That's right, because I have superior in my deck, and then fleet and being, and then precision strike. Yeah. But have we discussed your fleet on here before?
I think we have talked about my fleet, and I don't think we really need to. Well, maybe we do simply because
it's pretty important.
It is. I wanted to say it's standard Sloan, but then when you think about it, no, I've got some variations in there from what a lot of people might normally bring.
ISD-1 is not standard Sloan.
Okay.
Your Overload Pulse and Boarding Troopers thing is not a normal, but Boarding Troopers I will say is, but a lot of times it'll be on a
Let me
ISD-2.
See if this is the one that I'm running. Yeah, that's it. Although I have in this list I have Sloan on the Imperial 1, and actually Sloan is on the Raider.
Yes.
But we can break this down here. I mean, first off, I've got the Imperial 1, which is the heart of the fleet, of course. Minister Tua is on there for two reasons. One, to give me access to the electronic countermeasures, and then on top of that, she is very good sack fodder to Vader later on.
Yep.
Then you've got boarding troopers, which really, really was important in this matchup here. Expanded hangar bays, because the Imperial 1 is the one that's pushing the squads. I have quad battery turrets on here. I'm not absolutely in love with that. I thought a lot of ships were going to be moving faster than I am, but the fact is I'm moving at speed 2, and that seems to be pretty average, so I may want to look at changing that, but haven't made up my mind yet.
Yeah.
But then the second piece to this is the Raider 2, which Admiral Sloan is actually on there. Also have Emperor Palpatine, so if you're shooting at that, then you're going to have to exhaust some of your defensive tokens there. Weapons battery techs to help with rerolls. Disposable capacitors so that I can get the one long-range shot that I need out of the overload pulse. And essentially the goal is to get that one shot, shut down somebody's, make them exhaust all of their defense tokens, and then get the dodge out of hell.
Yes.
And so then I've got two Gazanti cruisers, one that has parts resupply on there, which the goal there is just to make sure that I keep the Imperial 1 up and running pretty well. And then the other Gazanti has Vader for additional reroll capacity and the comms net to pass over tokens to the Imperial 1. The squad ball, would you say the squad ball is pretty typical for a Sloan build?
Yeah, it also did a good job, right? Like at the end of the game.
Oh, yeah.
We both had I think I had Boba left, and you had who was that? Merrick Steele?
Merrick Steele, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Colonel Jindin to get a double tap out of somebody, Merrick Steele, Mauler Mithril, Black Squadron, which is just there to slow down people chewing through my squadrons and hopefully triggering with Sunter Fell to get some damage off on it while you're doing it. Saber Squadron, you mentioned the snipe there. Got a generic TIE Interceptor Squadron, simply because it's a lot of blue dice, and blue
And
dice are
counter.
important. Yeah, and counter. And then a generic TIE Defender Squadron, which gives me a little bit of a bomber presence. So it I've liked the way that this fleet flies. Again, the only thing that I'm not sure about are those quad battery turrets. And that is the one thing that I've flipped around a couple of times since I've been playing this, and I will probably flip it around again before Saturday.
Yeah. PDICs all day long. We'll talk about where that would have came in incredibly handy later down here. But so the battle, right? You were second player, so I chose your superior positions.
And yet I still did a really, really poor job of deployment.
Yeah. So if anybody's watching the video or have watched video, you don't really need to. But essentially, what happened was I deployed on like my right hand side of the board, and then Chris deployed on his right hand side of the board. But he put his Raider to where it would be the first ship into the battle, which is not ideal. And he recognized immediately because Sloan was on it. And had I had a better ship, like an Imperial Star Destroyer myself, I probably could have killed it.
Yeah.
But the Venator only has 4 dice out the front at medium. So with the evade tokens, it can survive. Even with a price shot. Because I got a pretty good shot on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It still made it. But essentially, so the battle started. The fleets are coming together. And I made some questionable command dial decisions on my Venator in round 1. I queued up a con fire for round 3. I should have done a nav, and we'll get there. But so the battle comes together, and I managed to alpha his squadrons first, and that was like the first skirmish of the game. So I went in, I took out 3 of your squadrons, ... and then locked down the rest of your squad ball for a while, and then I managed to get 2 bomber shots on the Raider to start things out. And so superior positions is important because my goal is to get behind your ships, same with you, and to hit a damage to score a victory token. So that was so at the end of that skirmish there, what was your thoughts after I just nuked 3 squadrons off the board?
Well, I felt I was already. I mean, I think some people can hear me talking on there that this game is over. From deployment, I thought the game was over because I recognized, and you were talking about how tasty that Raider was going to be.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, okay, how do I resolve this? And I did have some coaching because.
Yeah, Ruben was there.
Ruben was there, and he let me know something that I didn't realize that I could do, which really helped out because being able to go from speed 2 to speed 4 in a single turn is what allowed me to save that Raider.
Yep, speed dial, token, and nav command.
Yeah.
I would say the other huge thing that your fleet had over mine, and this is why it's important to bring at minimum like usually 4 ships. The fact that you could activate both your Gazantes really hurt me because I couldn't delay my Venator getting in range of your ISD.
Yeah.
I was getting really worried about that. So essentially, that happened, right? And we fought it out. Your squadrons fought back at mine. We were locked down there. And then I made a huge navigation error. And my Gazanti hit the back of my Venator, which really messed the tempo up of where my Gazanti was supposed to go, which led to its doom at like round 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Chris's at this point his Raider is
smoking
it's behind an asteroid, which is obstructed from my Venator.
Yeah.
It's got 2 TIE bombers not at its rear. But so I activate my Quasar. I do another attack on your squadrons. This time I don't get the roll as hot, which really slows things down for me. I think I tried to kill like 1 TIE Defender, and like I couldn't get this TIE Defender killed.
No. I think you finally did get it killed with Boba Fett, but I
had to auto damage it with Boba Fett, and that was a generic TIE Defender that it took me like 4 squads to take it out. And then at that point, The Quasar goes, and then you go with the Raider. You get your shot off, decaps. You do the overload pulse, but it's too early. You can't capitalize. So all my defense tokens are exhausted on the Venator, but I'm not yet at close range.
Right.
And remember, there's boarding troopers on Chris's ISD, which I am very worried about at this point.
Also, keep in mind that I made an error with my dial. I did not think that we were going to get engaged that soon, so my ISD was not having. I did not have a squadron dial ready on there. I had a con fire because I was planning on taking a token for later on, and we just engaged too quick.
Yeah, because I came in pretty hot as fast as I could to get there. Because my Venator also needs to be at close to be dangerous with the front arc. So we do that, and then Chris jumps, like he said, his Raider from speed 2 to 4. And it still puts it at a really dangerous spot. And I try my best. And thinking back, I didn't try hard enough because I left a couple squadrons engaged with your squadrons when I should have just broke them off and went after the Raider.
Yeah.
All of them.
Because that Raider was a lot of points.
I only sent the 2 TIE bombers. I should have sent everybody. I should have sent Tempest, but I really wanted to keep you locked down. But then I make a really bonehead move. Although I think I had like I can't remember which command I had. It didn't matter, but I came in and I landed on some of my squadrons, and that really messed things up. Yeah. And allowed Chris to Merrick Steel double tap the front of my Venator and strip my shields off the front. And remember, my defense tokens are exhausted from the overload pulse. I don't have to worry about the IC shot because it's kind of weak. And I remember tanking it pretty okay. But yeah, Merrick Steel, because he got 4 damage into me automatically, right?
Yeah.
And then at that point, I think that's the end of that round. And then we start the next round.
And I knew I had to go first with the Raider because the Raider was in medium range of you and showing its butt.
Yeah. And this was a gamble for you too, right? Because we were like both advising you kind of like not to do it because I had salvos, right?
Yeah, and so what I had decided to do was, okay, I'll chance it once, but I won't chance it twice. And so I just took one Hail Mary shot. I had the con fire dial on there, and I got the shot.
Yeah, he did it. So he exhausted my defense tokens, and I was like, oh my gosh. Because statistically, there wasn't a great chance he'd get that blue crit, but man, he got it. And that exhausted me. And then, oh man.
And then I did have the squad dial up.
Yeah, his ISD-1 is indeed close range of my Venator, but it's worse because you had the squad dial and you had the squad token, right?
Yeah.
So this was beautiful. He reveals his squad. He blows all my tokens off the Venator. Okay, I have no shields on the front. I have no hull point taken damage. I've got 12 hull point left. Okay, but I got no defense tokens. They're all gone. And then you one-shot Saber Squadron, my Saber Squadron, freeze up all your guys, and then your Merrick Steel gets to double tap me again. Huge blunder on my part. I don't remember what I was doing that didn't stop that, but I think I was hungry after the Raider. But yeah, and then you double tap me with your ISD, and
it's gone. Yeah.
Oh, he gets me. Yeah. I think he put like 16 damage into me.
Yeah.
Which took me off the board. But this is where things get really interesting. Because of the objective superior positions and the rear damage. All I have left is my Quasar. You have everything left, essentially. But my flagship's gone, which is 150 some points. And then the squadron battle. And then I'm trying to remember what happens next.
I don't know. It wasn't the same round that the Venator went down that I took down the Gazanti. That was a turn or two later, I think.
Yeah, I think it was like round 5.
Yeah.
So basically, my
late.
flagship's gone. I'm feeling down. I think I have 2 victory tokens on his Raider.
But then you go all in on the victory tokens.
Yeah. So then I used Admiral Chiranu to break my squadrons off. And since I've got the Quasar, I can activate 5 squads. Plus my Gazanti can activate. It's 2 squads. And the ISD-1 is now sitting nice and neat where I can fly all the squadrons to the rear. And this is where you needed PDICs. Because if he would have had PDICs, I probably would have got half the points I did. But I farmed 15 victory tokens off the back of that ISD.
I thought I was
going to lose.
I thought I was going to lose.
I collected 150 victory points off the rear, which and then our squadrons killed each other because he flew his stuff in, and then we just meat grinded that down. My Quasar got away. I didn't kill any of you. I didn't kill a single one of your ships. Only squadrons. But I think the game ended to where I had Boba and my Quasar, and yet I only lost by 60 points. I think
something like that. It was
nuts, and it's only because I had the 150 points from the victory tokens.
Yeah. And I mean that was my lesson learned for the day is, wow, victory tokens. You really need to be paying attention to that.
Right. So I think the biggest lesson here is that QBTs should be PDICs.
Well, yeah, I mean, and now I'm going to ask the question I should have been asking earlier on because you keep on referring to them. PDICs define?
Oh, point defense ion cannons. And so anytime a ship or a squadron shoots at you at close range, within close, you re-roll their die over and over. So if I roll a hit crit, you get to say PDICs and I have to re-roll it. And usually it comes up blank or down to a hit. And that works on ships and squadrons. Point defense ion cannons are the best points-wise defensive tech because they have no exhaust. You don't have to refresh them with a token. They work every time. And against a squadron ball, it's incredibly useful because most squadrons only throw 1 die at you.
Looking at it right now. Give me just a moment here.
Yeah. The only downside is they only come in the Invisible Hand expansion right now. Hopefully they'll do a alt art for tournaments.
Yeah, I will definitely need to borrow that in that case.
Yeah, I've got some for you.
Because I do not have those handy here. I'm kind of worried that my Discord kind of the imaging failed there. So give me just a moment here.
Oh, don't worry. Yeah, just a reroll at close range. So squadron shooting you, even with Major Rhymer, with my special ability of shooting you at close range, it would still work. But man, it's so useful because it works on each attack. It probably should be either increased in points or probably just an increase in points because it's really taken up the ion cannon slot on a lot of ships because you can't put it. The only ship you can't put it on is the SSD.
Let's see if we can call this image up here now. Yeah, there we go. So non-huge ships only. So you can't use it on the ISD, and is that same for the Starhawk?
No, you can put it on the Starhawk.
Okay.
Oh, Starhawk's large base.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, so that's just screwing with your opponent's dice. And, of course, there's not as much screwing with opponent's dice as there is your own dice in
right.
any of the Star Wars games there that I'm aware of. I will, though, have to say that I haven't played, like Shatterpoint or, Legion. So.
Legion? Yeah, Legion's got stuff like that.
Okay.
I think they have defensive dice, too, kind of like X-Wing, though.
Gotcha.
Surges and blocks and things like that. No.
So.
But yeah.
So first time running this fleet, what did you think about it? What's the strengths and weaknesses there?
Of my fleet or your fleet?
Your fleet.
My fleet? Oh, man. So, right off the bat, I love the Venator too, but man, it's not an ISD. if you try to treat it like an Imperial Star Destroyer, it's just not. Um, the nav chart at speed 3 is awful, which I know because I fly Republic Venators all the time. But they get really the boost that thermal shields gives to Republic Venators is unmatched, because they can get overwhelmed really fast. Uh, I also think that the H9s, I should have just brought XI7s, but I don't think they would have changed much here. Really, my biggest flaw was I used a Confire dial on round 3 or something. And I should have had an. I don't know. It's when in doubt, navigate out is what you're supposed to do. I should have a nav dial because if I would have had a nav dial, I would have been able to swing my ship's butt and get out of your front arc. I could have jumped to speed 3, done a double click. I would have landed on an asteroid, but who cares?
Yeah, it's
Right?
a lot less damage than you're taking from the.
Yeah, one face up doesn't critical, but I only would have had to deal with a single shot out of the side of you, and then I would have been home free, and then I would have farmed more points out the rear view. So the lesson here is navigate, 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 which was critical. Other than that, I actually really liked my squadron ball. The Lamba was really useful. I didn't have to use strategic because we didn't play with any objective tokens, but that's useful to have. But I like Boba Fett. Everyone always dumps on him because he's 26 points.
Yeah.
But the auto damage thing is so useful because I killed Mauler Mythil that way. I killed who else did I kill? I killed your Suture Fell that way, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you finished off a lot of stuff with that, and
Right.
and the fact that that works on ships as well as on squads is pretty big. Because if you could have gotten Boba Fett over there at that Raider, that would have
Yes.
been bad news.
Tempest Squadron, by far my MVP. The fact that he was able to escort so long. 5 hull points is a lot. Same with your TIE Defender, right? It took me a long
Yeah.
time to destroy that TIE Defender.
Yeah,
It
it's
only
got
had 5
six
hull
hull.
points.
6.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the defenders have 6. I may be wrong on that.
I could be right. But other than that,
I like Reimer. I really liked the
yeah,
idea of shooting from 2 rather than 1. There's a lot of, if you work on it a lot, there are a lot of tricks that you could make work, and it makes it harder to lock up your squad ball that way.
yeah. Reimer's really neat, combined with Admiral Chernu, because Admiral Chernu allows you to move while engaged.
Yeah.
The only problem with Reimer is regular TIE bombers are really bad, because they have one anti-squadron black die,
Yeah.
and other than that, I mean that really holds them back points wise. They're, I want to say like 9 or 8 points or something. They're cheap, but they go fast, and they're also speed 4, which is nice. But essentially, to use Reimer properly, you've got to do some jank like I did, where you got to bring Gamma Squadron, who's a special TIE bomber. You got to bring Boba Fett or another Fire Spray. Tempest, who's also a bomber.
Does his ability only work on TIE bombers, or does it work on anything that has the bomber keyword?
All of them.
Okay.
All squadrons. So anything is because it's with their anti-ship armament.
Gotcha.
So it works on all of them. So,
I mean,
really, he's not a bad
defenders.
idea for Sloan, right?
Yeah, no, not at all. And I mean, throwing him with defenders, it's how many points is he again?
He's only 16 points, and he's speed 4, but he lets you throw your dice at close range, which is really far in the squadron game. So you might want to think about maybe sacrificing some points somewhere.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I could actually just remove that generic TIE defender, because that's 16 points right there, and change him out for Reimer. And
what's your other, your aces are Merrick Steel, Jendon, Suture Fell,
Mauler Mithril,
and Mahler.
Yeah.
So we'd have to get rid of one of them. I'd probably drop Mahler Mithril.
You're limited on the number of
You got 4 aces with tokens.
Gotcha. Okay.
4 aces, and that's by points. So in a 400 point game, you get 4. 300 point, you get 3. So
Well,
it
and I
scales.
mean, Mauler Mithril is 15 points anyway, and I'm at 398. So if I had switched him out for Reimer, then
Right.
yeah, I'm still okay.
Now the only downside is Reimer is a black die bomber,
Yeah.
but I think I don't, I'm not a professional, so, but in my opinion, it's pretty cool to be able to throw dice at close range, especially when you're using all your other tricks,
Yeah.
overload pulse, and then finish off stuff with your boarding troopers.
Yeah. I'll give it some thought, definitely, and
Yeah,
may
but
discuss it some
PDIC is
more on
number one.
Thursday. Yeah. No, that's already done. That.
But yeah,
Do you think the Venator is viable?
oh yeah, I think so. I'm gonna be honest. Anytime you're flying into somebody who's got the overload pulse boarding troopers combo, you're in for a bad time. It's really hard to prevent because there's a lot of factions and a lot of setups that guarantee that the overload pulse is going to happen. Governor Price, Admiral Screed, trying to think, Torn Far, who gives rerolls for the rebels. Trying to think, weapons, battery techs. I think there's some other stuff that guarantee you get that crit. Man, but once that goes off, you're in for some hurt.
Yeah.
And especially if they have that boarding troopers lined up correctly. And that happened to me at the last store championship I was at. Man, Ryan, who's a local in Louisville, he had a Radis fleet where he overload pulsed me with a CR90B and then boarding trooper Radis me with his MC75 and then just nuked my Venator off the board. Because once a ship runs out of its defense tokens, it doesn't take long
Yeah.
to strip it down. So no, I think the Venator is pretty very what's it called, viable. This was definitely my first Imperial Venator flying.
Right.
I'll blame myself for that. My lack of nav dial was really dumb. Never con fire. It was stupid on my part. I don't know what I was thinking. I was hungry for the dice. I was having too much fun.
Well, it was definitely a fun game.
Oh yeah. I love games where things are dying.
Yes.
I really like casual play
action was
because I like
happening,
action.
and so I will definitely again remind folks that video is up on YouTube, and it's a fun game to watch because things are happening in that game.
Oh yeah, I felt dirty that first alpha attack when I wiped out 3 squadrons, bam, 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 in a row. That was fun. I was really surprised how you came back on the squadron game. Actually, I didn't think you were going to. I thought I had it in the bag. And then you managed to destroy everybody but Boba Fett. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I thought you had me too. I think I'm a little bit better at recovery than I used to be.
Absolutely. That last Mauler Mythal, Mauler Mythal jumped in, and that was really important because he managed to take a hole off all 6 of my remaining squadrons at once. And that was pretty devastating at the point that he did it, because then he was able to flak with his ISD that I just shot the rear of. And then he was also flacking. That's the other thing I forgot. Your Gazantes came into the right spot to flak some more.
Yeah.
Which was crucial for you to finish off. Who was it? Gamma Squadron. Was my other bombers that were left. But yeah, and I couldn't kill Merrick Steele. I couldn't get him. That guy's hard to kill.
No, he is pretty tough there. Oh, but I mean,
but Venator's rough. It's a knife fighter, which is hard to do.
Yeah, I've not seen a lot of really, and granted, my experience is limited, but I haven't really seen a lot of knife fight builds outside of, I guess, the torpedo frigates in
or the Kuat.
Okay. I haven't even seen the Kuat in action, so
Yeah. Oh man, you haven't played against Nick's Kuat?
No.
Yeah, we got a local here play. He puts a boarding troopers on his Kuat, and then hits you with like 6 black dice.
Ooh. Ow, ow, ow.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, the vendor is tough. I do think Madi is like almost essential to like get its hull points up to 12.
Yeah.
And as long as you're not taking a double arc after getting Merrick Steeled twice from an ISD one, you should be okay. But well done. Nick was the victor. Or not Nick. I'm sorry, Chris was the victor, in case anybody's wondering. He did win by 7-4. I got 4 points.
Yeah, that was again, there was a lot of luck involved because I will say that my dice warmed up. Your dice were hot at the start.
Oh, so hot.
I mean,
Yeah.
unbelievably hot. And then as we progressed, they cooled off, and mine started warming up. And I mean, the luckiest shot of the game was the one medium range shot with the overload pulse. I mean,
Oh yeah, that was beautiful.
that
It was over after that.
yeah. Oh, but again, the valuable lesson that I picked up out of the game was the importance of objectives because, again, once your Venator went down, I thought, oh, yep, that's it. That's game. Wait, no,
Yeah.
hold
No, I gotta make
on.
these points up.
Yeah, I mean, you were racking them up, and it's not like the ISD is super maneuverable in order to get away from fighters that are shooting at its butt.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was trying really hard to make sure you couldn't shoot the back of my Quasar. Um,
Yeah. Well, I
and
mean, the Quasar was just pretty much staying out of the fight the entire time,
right.
which is
No, that's a good
not
build.
a bad idea at all. I
Yeah,
do have to
entirely.
I do have to give some credit to Kravik because when I was watching one of his podcasts, that's when I saw that particular setup for a raider, and I was
Yeah.
just like, I got to do that.
Trying to remember share another Raider build, and this is from Nick Latrenta. He's like a world class player, um, and so he doesn't use Sloan. He uses Admiral Ozzel in his fleet.
Hmm.
Uh, and Admiral Ozzel is really cool because during each friendly ship's determined course, it can change your speed by 1. So without a command dial, you can just go by 2, 1, and if you combine it with your token and a nav dial, you can go, 1 to 4
Oh wow.
with Ozzel. He's only 20 points. But anyways, he's got a really similar build to what you just had, except he's got Iden Versio in the officer slot instead of
Hmm.
Palpatine, and I think she's 3 more points. So I don't know if you can afford her, but she lets you when you resolve the evade, when you do the evade, you cancel 1 die at close range instead of reroll,
Okay.
right? And there's another ability she has. It's if you have a squadron commander or a token,
Hmm.
you can discard Iden Versio, and the ship you're attacking gains a raid token, but it's really not worth it. Her ability, though, to
Yeah.
cancel die at close range, the evade on a raider, is so good because it's got 2 evade tokens, right?
Right.
And then it's got weapon battery text like you have. Right? You had those on there?
I believe so. Let me.
Yeah. And then the decaps. And then instead of Overload Pulse, which you should keep, he does heavy ion emplacements, which is the one where you strip extra shields off, and then
Yeah.
Corvus.
And I do have the text, so yeah, I needed the text for rerolls.
Yeah. Did you have
Or
Corvus
to-
on it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
had
something. If you
shifted.
deployed, you should have moved Corvus around a little bit.
Well, I didn't even think about it. It was just
Right,
like,
yeah.
because I was deploying second anyway, and I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. And then you started movement, and I was like, no,
Uh-oh.
that's not where I wanted to be. That is not where I wanted to be at all.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think we pretty much exhausted the topic tonight.
I think so. I think I'll have to. I'm gonna go back to my Republic fleet for our tournament on the 9th. Although I'm gonna do an oldie but goodie, my double Venator, double Pelta, double Spats.
Well,
Uh,
go with what you know, most definitely.
Yeah.
but we do have that tournament coming up, and then a couple in January. Actually, normally I do a flip flop. I'll talk X-wing one week and Armada the next week on the after action report. But given the fact that we're going to be doing this tournament this Saturday, probably going to do another Armada day, just because there's going to be a lot to talk about after the tournament, I think.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, no, we got a lot of stuff coming up. We got tournaments in January, and we got the campaign, and then we've got Worlds in March.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure we'll get Rapid Reinforcements 3 announced there, like they did last year. Maybe we'll find out some more fun news. So I don't know, lots of Armada action. So it's exciting to have stuff to talk about and do.
It is. It most definitely is. It's the most wonderful time of the year, not just because of Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to thank you again for being on the show, and again, I hope to have you on next week because, like I said, we're going to be talking about the tournament next week and results and everything, and hopefully I'll get to play. If not, you're going to get me commentating while watching some games. So either way, I'm going to be there. It's just a matter in what capacity.
Right, excellent.
All right, well, take care, man.
All right, see you.
All right, so that's about all that we've got for the show today. I want to thank you guys for watching. Continue to support the channel both on Twitch and on YouTube. Your support really, really does help me out. It means a lot to me as well. It's something that I've been pretty passionate about. I've enjoyed both of these games tremendously and enjoy talking about it with people. Love to see some of you come in on the chat next time and we can talk about whatever it is that you guys want to talk about. I want to thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care, guys.